Got a question on TikTok asking if a landlord can keep last month's rent. Basically, from a lease that's over 10 years old and the tenant has now given notice to vacate. Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord War on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. Now, don't get this question too often nowadays because California reduced the level of security deposit that you can collect. Most landlords now can only collect 1 month's worth of rent unless you're considered a small landlord that owns, no more than 2 rental units that contain no more than 4 dwelling units. If you're in that exception, you can charge up to twice the amount of rent for an unfurnished unit. Okay, but most people now are going to be limited to 1. So prior to that, this change in the security deposit law, last month's rent would be considered a security deposit. It kind of doesn't matter how you label what the item is. If it's last month's rent, security deposit, holding deposit, etc., the law kind of treats them the same way. It's a deposit, for, any default in rent or damages beyond normal wear and tear. That being said, if the lease did specify that it was for last month's rent and your tenant doesn't pay that, that possibly, might have to be used for last month's rent. I never liked labeling last month's rent in leases for that reason, because you might be construed by your lease to only use it for such, versus if you just have it as a security deposit, you can use it for both unpaid rent and damages beyond normal wear and tear. So your mileage may vary on that. Despite that issue, I think this user wrote that the tenant gave verbal notice that they were going to vacate. I'll create a separate video about that, to how you need to get a formal notice in writing or come to some type of mutual agreement that, hey, the tenant's going to vacate, because that might not be enforceable. Despite that issue, I think, the landlord, you'll be able to use that last month's worth of rent if your tenant doesn't pay that. However, you still have to account to the tenant via formal security deposit accounting or transmittal notice, as some people call it, advising that, hey, X amount of dollars, whatever, was paid for last month's rent, so to speak, was used to pay the last month that you didn't pay. So, again, landlords, if you're having a non-payment of rent situation with a tenant, or you have a question about what your lease requires and you're in the Northern California area, please feel free to reach out. We might be able to help out. Put your comments, questions down below. Until next time, folks, I'll talk to you then. Thanks.